Hey, welcome. Hey, welcome to Real Guitar Live. I'm Thomas Michaud, and I'm going to answer as best I can all your guitar questions that hopefully to encourage you and support you to continue your guitar journey. I have questions pre-submitted, and you're welcome to add questions into the chat. I'll start with the pre-submitted questions, and we'll go on to the chat after that. Let's start off with the first one from David. How important is it to memorize all the notes up and down the fretboard so I can determine what they immediately are? And also, he wants to know about building triads from any of the notes. Is it important? And if so, what's an effective method for memorizing? Or is it okay to just play and learn naturally from the act of playing? I think both are important. I find specific methods of learning the notes up and down the fretboard, and also playing and being conscious of what you're playing helps also engender being able to know where you are and what the notes are. It's an ongoing process. I'm still getting better at it. I have a friend and teacher who is just incredible. It makes me look like an amateur. But of course, I know for beginners, even my ability looks baffling. It just comes from experience. I will say this, if you're a brand new beginner or in the first 6 months or so, it's probably not the best place to spend your time. And I would encourage you to spend your time on learning chords and progressions. And if you want to play melody, learn scales and aspects of playing scales. Next we come arpeggios. Once you get past a year or two, and it, of course, depends on your goals too. If all you ever want to do is just strum some folk chords, it's really not important to know the notes up and down the guitar neck. But if you want to do more and you want to be able to play chords up and down, and especially if you want to be able to improvise, it's very valuable to be able to quickly identify the notes on the fretboard. Here's an exercise that I was taught that I still do to this day, and I'm still getting better at it. I think it's a great exercise. First of all, what the exercise involves doing is finding octaves on the fretboard. And I'm going to start with C. C here, and the octave to C is here. So what I'm going to do is move up and down the neck and find the octave. I'm going to start here, go here to the next C. Now I want to find the next octave from this C. That would be here. So we've got this shape, which you're going to see repeated many times. And then we want to find the octave from this note. You see what I'm doing? I'm piggybacking off of each octave. Now, when you see this figure, there's two octaves on that string. There's a low and a high octave. And I know that when I see a pattern, there's two ways to look at this, a pattern of third string, and then the octave is 4 notes up on the first string, I know there's going to be a second octave. I also consider this a G form, and I won't go into that. It has to do with the cage system. So I consider this a G form, meaning it's a G form of chord. It's not a G chord. It's a G form that looks like a G. Enough of that. Just go with the patterns for now. Now I'm going to go from this to one of these notes. Doesn't really matter which one, but I'm going to pick the high one. Now I need an octave there. Now this is another one. When you have an octave with the first string and the fourth string 3 notes apart, you've got a second octave. By the way, if you happen to be in the cage system, this would highlight an E form chord. So, got that octave. There's one more we're going to do, and that's here. If you have electric guitar, you could probably go up one more octave, but for me, this is it. And then I go back. Now, you can practice those 2 ways. I practice it that way, but also individual notes. That's for improvisation. I want to be able to go to individual notes. I'm not playing chords when I'm improvising. Not an easy exercise, I get it. But if you just start with the C chord and practice that, all those same patterns apply for all the other notes. They just move around the fretboard. So start with one, just spend a few minutes each day working on the C, find the octave. And so on. Then go on to another chord or note that you want to work on. I like to go in a series of fourths, but it's not important. It's more of a personal preference. So I would go C, D, E, F. I'm going 4 up. Then I'd go on to the F. And so on. Now, F, next one would be B flat, and so on. Keep going up like that. Another way to do it is just pick the notes that you use most often, G, F, C, that kind of thing. You'll see, this is the same pattern. Look at F. Oh, sorry, F. This is the same pattern I have with C, but the C pattern was up here, F. You'll see the same patterns over and over. Okay, it's a great exercise, really helps you understand the fretboard. Only useful if you're really going to be playing all over the fretboard. And if you are, I would just spend a little bit of time each day at it and not stress over it. Consider it kind of a warm-up maybe, or something you just keep coming back at little by little and chipping away. Next question. And triads is a whole nother subject. I wouldn't go there connected to this, what I just showed you. Triads are sort of another thing that I would approach it differently. And I would, first of all, learn the music theory behind triads, what makes up a triad, the intervals. And second of all, and by the way, I just finished a lesson on that. So I'll put a link in the show notes. And then go ahead and play the triads at different places throughout the neck. So you can make up your own exercises, but you could also do like I do. I start with just the triads on the first 3 strings and use them up and down the neck because I use those most often. So they're more valuable than playing triads all through the guitar neck. If I were a heavy jazz improviser and I needed to really know that would be a useful skill, to play triads all around the neck. It's not that useful for me, so I don't put my attention there. Diane says, I'm having trouble with string pull-offs. Yes, I've heard this before, especially the 3-note kind. I wind up pulling the E string off the neck, or we pick the 3rd note because I can't keep it ringing. So Diane, you're saying a 3-note pull-off. Let's see, would that be this? 1, 2, 3. The 3 notes. 1, 2, 3. I guess it could be this kind, hammer-on pull-off. That would be 3 notes too, but you didn't mention hammer-on, so we'll go with pull-offs. You're not alone by any means, and especially with a 3-note pull-off. Especially on this first string, because of course the obvious thing is if you're not, technically, if you don't got it just right, you're going to pull the string off the frets, off the side of the neck. First of all, you want to, is that a bug? No, hopefully no spiders on me. You want to make sure you're doing the technique properly. So when I'm pulling off, let's just do a 2-note pull off to work on the technique. I want to make sure I'm pulling off to the side slightly, but up and off to the side. Too much, of course, is going to pull that string off. So, that's something you just practice by itself. Isolate that. Get 2 nice clear notes without pulling the string off. See if you need to soften up a little or maybe pull a little harder. It'll take some practice. And make sure, try in different parts of the neck, and it might feel a little different. So I'm not sure how successful you are with that, but I would, if it was a problem, I'd make an exercise like this. And then go down the fret, just to have something, kind of a pattern to practice. And do that a little at a time each day. And you'll see it will get easier and smoother. It doesn't take a lot of muscle to do that. And that's part of the trick. A lot of us guys, especially in the beginning, try to put too much muscle into it and pull the string off. It might be what you're doing. And the motion, by the way, is kind of a flick. You have to do it fairly quickly, too. And that's part of the practice, getting a nice quick flick with just enough strength to sound that second note. Now, you want to make sure you have your thumb comfortable behind the neck and solid, too. If your thumb's moving around, that will be really hard. And that's part of what you're doing when you're practicing this, is watching and relax the hand, keep the thumb solid on the back of the neck. Then go for the 3-note pull-off. Let's do this one, because I'm using the pinky and then the ring finger. Start with that first note. Just work on that. And you're applying the same technique that you do with the 2-note pull-off. And then add the second, and then try 3. So progressively, depending on how quickly you progress, I would just, for a few days, just do this first note. And do it a little at a time, a few minutes at a time. Go practice something else and come back a couple more minutes. It does tend to work better than trying to do even 10 minutes straight on just one little thing. A few minutes at a time, do something else, then come back at it. You actually memorize it better that way. And of course, it's less frustrating. Now, when you're doing the 3 notes, you have to make sure this first finger is solid near the fret, not too far back, because otherwise it's going to deaden out no matter what I do. That's clear. Make sure you get the first good note there with your first finger. Now I'm doing the 3-note pull-off. That I know I got my index finger in the right place, so it's going to give me a good solid note. Now, the trick here is with this ring finger, that second note, is I have to get a good little yank on it. Otherwise, if I just pull straight up, I'm almost get nothing, right? A little yank, yank. Go slow at first, and no, it's not going to be very loud, but just practicing the technique. And then what I would do is once in a while, just try it fast. And just see where you're at. Okay, so those are some of the techniques and the progression. I think it's important to break it down into steps. Just keep trying the 3-note pull-off and not happening it's going to be frustrating. It works better to break down each of the steps, particularly make sure you got that first note, make sure you got the index finger a good solid note before you start doing all 3. Okay, let's go on to the next question. And feel free to ask more questions about any of these subjects in the chat. This is Linda, says she's having problems pressing down the strings, and she has calluses. That's not the issue, but the finger strength is an issue. And Linda has come back to this after a while, so this is totally normal. This is what I get most from people who have stopped playing and come back to it. Even they get the calluses back really quickly, but it takes longer to get the muscle strength back. And I think there are things you can do that will help it progress faster, but bottom line is just keep playing a little bit at a time, be persistent, it will come back. And it'll take a little longer than you're probably hoping, but it'll come back. Some of the things that you can do to get it to come back a little faster is to just make sure you practice some chords changes, 5 minutes at a time every day. And the consistency will really help the muscles work more than practicing like 2 or 3 days go by and they kind of go backwards and you just do this. Another thing you could do is get a soft rubber ball and squeeze it. I've used those. Or actually what I use is this putty stuff. They have it on Amazon. And it's meant for that, to work your hand motion. And this can work. Don't do it to the point where you're tired and sore. Just do a little bit at a time. And I think I paid $10 for a little set of these. They're different thicknesses. So some are more harder to press down, some are easier on Amazon. Therapy, it's not balls. They're actually, it kind of feels like Play-Doh a little bit, but it doesn't fall apart like Play-Doh. It stays together. It's very soft, mushy things. Another thing you can do is an exercise like this. This is a simple exercise where you just, I'm sorry, let me get it right. The exercise is this. I call it finger builder, finger developer. Very simple. Open first, next fret. And the trick is you're working at not just strength, but actually getting the finger in just the right spot. When the exercise is simple, you can focus on that. When you're playing stuff, especially even chords, it's hard to focus on all the different elements, like getting your fingers in the right place, getting the chord right, getting from one to the other. This way you can really just focus on getting the finger in the right place with the amount of strength that you need. And often it's less strength than you think. It's more a matter of adjusting the finger and getting it in just the right place, close to the fret, but not on top of it. But at the same time, you can use this exercise to press down a little bit and hold it for a few seconds, 10, 15 seconds kind of thing. I would say 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that'll bring muscle strength. That's an isometric exercise. See, I'm tensing my muscle, and it's actually going to strengthen it. Give it a few weeks. It will be much better. If you have steel strings on your guitar, you might want to try a little lighter strings. That has helped a lot of people getting back into guitar. And some of those people say, I like lighter strings. I'm going to keep them on my guitar. But you can always progress up to heavier strings, which are going to be louder. Let's go on to the next question. That's all I can think about that for now. But if you have any more questions, or if anybody else has some suggestions, please put them in the chat. I'd love to hear your ideas or things that worked for you. Please give us some suggestions for how to end songs in a more professional way instead of just ending on the last chord. What else would you suggest? So one way you could go, let's do this. I'll pick a song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. So I'm ending on the last G chord on happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Okay, so that's a nice simple ending. How about a slow fade? Happy birthday to you. There's one way to end it, dramatic, and actually works pretty well in that setting. How about an arpeggio ending? Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. You could end on that last note or just pick it that way. Here's another one. I'll do the arpeggio, I'll combine it with an plagal cadence. That's a 1-4-1. So happy birthday to you. That was a 4 chord. C2. And I did the bass rundown. That's a secondary thing. And then with the chords, just happy birthday to you. You don't have to do the bass rundown. Many other ideas. 2 chord ending. On a lot of songs, this one goes 1-5-1. The D chord's the 5 chord in the key. Happy birthday to you. You could add another extra 5-1 chord that really says done. Boom. 5-1 is a very definitive ending. And then there's always the basic ritardando, just a fancy word for slowing down. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. I went to a C chord, 4 chord, kind of a combination of that plagal type ending, but I kind of reiterated jump back into the song when before it looked like it was over, a surprise ending. Okay, that's all I can think of for now. Let me know if you guys think of anything that you like to use when you're ending a song. I'm sure if I thought about it more, I would think of some more ways too. But I would pick a few and get good at them rather than trying to have too many different ways and not know which ones to pick. That's a mistake I used to try to add knowledge without really digesting it and being able to use it. And I always vowed I would save my students from that plight, which I'm only halfway successful with that, but I have helped some. Okay, you've taught baby chords, triads. And I would like to learn triads. Oh, and you teach the baby chords on the first three strings of the guitar. And I would like to know about triads on the inner strings, the D, G, and B strings, and how to apply them in songs. So this Shulamit, to be honest with you, it's a great question, but to be honest, it's not something I'm really explored. And I'm not going to make up something. I don't really use that. I don't use triads on the inner strings of the guitar. I'm aware that it's kind of a jazz thing. Jazz players will do more of those kinds of things. And I would suggest for a lot of people, you would get a lot of bang out of your butt just for learning triads on the first three strings. There are lots of uses for them. And if you're still exploring that, I would spend your energy there. But if you're interested in especially jazz guitar and exploring more, I would find some instruction in jazz guitar, particularly chord voicing. And that's where they deal with, I believe, more of the inner strings triads and chord forms, intervals on the inner strings. I've seen people who are very good at this, and they are jazz improvisers, which I don't consider myself one. I can improvise and play some things that sound like jazz, but that's not my forte. I'd be curious if anybody in the group has experience with that, or if they have a way that they've used triads with the inner strings. Please add in the chat. I would love to know. And it would give me some impetus to maybe explore a little bit more. Right now, I don't know how I would use it, so I need some examples to inspire me to want to learn more about it. Next question. Well, that's it for the pre-submitted questions. Let's go over into the chat and see what we got. Feel free to add anytime. If you could start with the word question, it would really help me, because what's happening is people are making comments in the chat, and I can't see fast enough which are questions and which are comments. So I'll try not to miss you, and if I do, please just edit at the end. I'll keep going down, and I'll see it again later. Jeff says, my guitar teacher is teaching me Don Williams' I Believe in You. Good, cool. It's not a song that I know, actually, but if it's something that you like, that's what's really important. And I'm glad to hear you're finding songs and working on stuff you like. Excuse me. Adam asks, I often have a few 5 or 10 minute gaps where I can practice something with guitar. No time for full songs. I have become good at spider walks and scales. Any other cool one or two? That's a great idea, by the way. He's finished the question here. One or two that I could practice. I have, as I said, gotten good at spiders, basic scales, and going to and from some bar chords, but keen for more tips and little practice workouts. So let me think, Adam. And the spider walk, I think, is a great thing to, if you only got 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to tell you about a concept, not specific exercise, that you might be able to apply. When I'm playing songs or even exercises, let me pick maybe a finger picking thing. Just for an example, let's say I'm working on that as part of a song, and I'm having a hard time with this pattern. That's the pattern. I've isolated it. But let's say I'm struggling with that. I'm working on that. I would isolate that one small little pattern, and that's what I would use as an exercise for those 5 minutes at a time. And that 5 minutes max, that's how much I would practice it. I would do this for 5 minutes. And then try it faster. And then try adding it to the next part. I picked a passage from one of my original songs that I play often, and you'll find that by spacing out practice on difficult things that you're working on like that, you actually progress faster than if you spend a solid block, half hour, just working on it and trying to beat it into your brain. Something has to do with the way it actually is more work to remember what you're supposed to practice, and that extra work actually makes your brain remember it more. So that would be a great way to make your own exercises of things that you want to play. You're playing a song, you find that in the song there's this difficult part, maybe isolate that, and then when you get 5 minutes to practice it, and I would stick to 5 minutes, 10, I would do 2 different exercises. 5 minutes, and then let it go, and just keep coming back at it. If you can do it every day, even a couple times a day, you'll be able to add that back into the song, and it'll make the whole thing go faster. I think that's one of my favorite ways to make exercises up for myself, is to find things that I'm having a problem with, and I kind of turn that little piece of it into an exercise and work on it. And it kind of is double duty. It helps me work on that technique as well as it helps me progress on the whole song. Other than that, it kind of depends on what you're working on. If you're doing a lot of improvisation, I would certainly say pick scales and arpeggios. If you're doing scales, arpeggios are another good one to practice for 5 minutes or so, because then you apply them when you have more time to actually sit down with a chord progression and improvise over it. If you're just playing chords, then I would pick little chord progressions. I would try to pick some that you need to work on that aren't way out here, but let's say you've got a new chord here. I don't know if you're even using this. One I use in like smash guitar. For a lot of students I've taught that's a difficult chord change. So I would make that an exercise, a chordal exercise. And I'd start with just one chord and keep fingering it, and then add the second chord, watch my fingers where they go, strategize how I'm going to move from one to the other, and then practice it 5 minutes at a time, maybe 3 or 4 minutes even, because it's a bit of a stretch with that pinky, so I don't want to make it too sore. Just another idea applying to chord changes. Great question, man. Hey, Wingo. Hi from Istanbul. And Rod asks, can you demonstrate walking up from a G chord to a C chord in a song scenario and do counting during the change? Let's see. So let's pick what that's going to sound like. I'm going to G to a C. Now I'll add a bass. Start with a simpler one. That was a dun, dun, dun. I want to go 1, 2. The timing is simpler than that. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. No, that's not right. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll get the timing first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. No, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. I missed the bass note 3 and 1. So I'm doing it on and 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bass note, 4 and then the third note is the bass note. The fourth. The downbeat of the 1 is going to be the chord. Yes, I can talk. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's one way to do it. I could slow this down a lot. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I start too soon. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Right? That there's even faster like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2. That would be dividing the end into 2 beats. I would start with this one because the timing is easier to get a hang of. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. And then you can always add fancier ones. Okay, any more questions? Did I miss anybody? Add it at the end if I did. I'm going to go on to look over at the top and see if I missed anything. I don't see anything. Normally, right about now, I would do a drawing for the people in my guitar, RGS guitar program. My software has failed me again, and I won't be able to do the drawing. It won't give me the numbers. I'll try and fix that up and do a drawing during the week when I can figure out who completed the lessons for the guitar sessions for the month of August. In any case, I'm going to close up for today. Thank you all for joining me. It's been a pleasure being here. And I will be back the second Thursday of next month. Please feel free to submit your questions ahead of time, but you can always submit in the chat at the event. And by the way, I do record this, and I'll put show notes afterwards. So even if you weren't on the live call, you will get a chance to see the final version with your question answered. Bye for now. Have a great month, and I will see you before next month, right? Take care.